The Lake of Stars Festival is not just a music festival. It's a celebration of culture, creativity, and community. Nestled on the shores of the majestic Lake Malawi, this festival has become a beacon of artistic expression and an engine for social change, drawing talent and audiences from around the globe. It is a melting pot where music, art, and ideas converge, showcasing the very best of Malawian culture and beyond. Welcome to this special edition of the Kwathu Konversations, where we bring together the brightest minds and most innovative spirits to explore the pulse of creativity and collaboration around Africa. Today, we have a unique treat for you as we dive into one of the most vibrant cultural phenomena in our country, the Lake of Stars Festival. This year's festival was an electrifying festival with an array of performances, workshops, and cultural experiences that reflected the heartbeat of the Malawian creative community. But the magic of the Lake of Stars Festival doesn't just happen by chance. It's a result of the hard work and dedication of a team of passionate organizers who work tirelessly behind the scenes. I am thrilled today to be joined by one of the incredible organizers, Sharmila, who has been instrumental in creating this year's festival experience, and she, in this conversation, will share her insights on the festival's vision, the creative process, and what makes this event such a transformative experience for both performers and attendees. Without further ado, welcome to the conversation, Sharmila.
Thank you very much.
So I want to know, how did you get started in organizing events? What was the inspiration for you?
Wow, okay. I'm going to take it way back.
Yeah.
I was going through a little bit of a personal challenge at the time.
Okay.
But I had already been established in the travel and tourism industry, based in Cape Town and Johannesburg. Malawi is my home country. This is where I was born.
Okay.
But
Where
I did
exactly?
move in the Longwe, actually. I moved to Cape Town at an early age. I finished my education there. I went into travel and tourism and really soared. I did quite well for myself.
Yeah.
During this challenging time, I had moved to Malawi just to seek solace and support from my family, because my mother still lives here, and stumbled upon a festival. And this was Lake of Stars.
Lake of Stars. When was this?
This was, to begin with, I was a patron in 2009, and then I came back in 2013. I didn't know that it was an existing thing, and it happened on an annual basis. In 2013, I was recruited as a volunteer.
Okay.
But because I'm also a very anxious person, I want to learn every single department. I get bored very easily.
Yeah.
I'm very agile. I have very high levels of energy. So I found myself volunteering for almost every single department at the festival that weekend. This was actually called the City of Stars in 2013.
Okay.
And this is basically where I discovered a knack for my creative juices. Because prior to that, I was a poet. I used to write, but in confidence, and I had never published anything. And this opened up a lot of other opportunities for me. I was just like, wow, I had no idea this was the path I was going to take.
Okay. So in terms of accomplishments over the years, I know there are many. What are some of your favorites? Like, these were the highlights, the key things that you enjoyed.
The one thing I think that stands out completely at the festivals and also some of the other projects, some of the projects are film productions that we do. Festivals, events management, the other boring stuff is like the conferences, the corporate conferences and stuff, still very exciting. One of the things that actually stood out for me was when a young person from our volunteers team that I had given an opportunity to lead a team came up to me and said, I want to be like you when I grow up. Everything you touch turns to gold. And I was like, oh my God. I was taken aback. And I think that's what humbled me the most. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to touch a young life like that, now I found a purpose.
Okay. And what have been some of the biggest challenges for you, like in the journey? I can imagine many.
Oh my goodness, challenges are plenty. But I'm also the type of person that embraces challenges because I'm more of a solution-focused person. So I always say, even to all my team members and myself, before I start off with the festival projects, is that you're going to bump into a lot of challenges, but remember, every challenge has 1,001 solutions.
Of course, of course. Okay, and what significant influences have inspired you to do this work? What influences you?
Well, going back to young people and raising them up, making sure that they don't get stuck in a certain situation and that they actually grow and develop. That was something that I had learned from people that I was surrounded by, leaders in the travel and tourism industry in Cape Town. They used to make sure that every 6 months you had grown and developed into something else, not just remained that particular, person behind the desk or whatever. So I think that's what inspires me, is to see young people grow and develop. Personal growth and development is very important for any industry, any industry, you name it. And I feel that obviously it adds huge value to the economy.
Absolutely.
So you've got to have young people in the industry because firstly, they've got the energy.
Yes, they do.
And then secondly, they've also got the drive. And they're the best, exactly, they're the best candidate for something like festivals and events because there's no time. And it allows them to make the mistakes that they need to make in order for them to grow and develop. You cannot grow and develop if you don't make mistakes. I still make mistakes today.
Of course, we all do. We all do. You spoke of being solution-oriented and the whole idea of making mistakes. Where do you think it comes from for you to be solution-oriented? Because I know a lot of people will say, I get stuck, and they get stuck. So where does it come from for you? Exactly. How do you make sure you continue creating solutions and not stay stuck?
Wow. Okay. So remember, there's a plan A, that's your plan A, your initial plan, and nothing ever goes to plan.
Of course.
You've got to welcome plan B, plan C, all the way to
plan
Z.
Yeah.
Go back to
With
plan
festivals,
AA.
I can imagine.
Oh yeah. Go back to plan AA, plan BB, plan CC, up until you exhaust every single solution. So what actually drives me for that is that because of my high level of energy, as you can tell right now, I'm buzzing. I do not quit until I have found a solution. And I'm in competition with myself. I'm not, I'm not trying to compare myself to anybody else. I do draw inspiration. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of leaders that have crafted this that you see today, this Sharmila. But a lot of it is just me drawing inspiration and going, okay, fine. You know what? Those days when you're completely down and you can't get out of bed and you just think, what have I done? What have I taken on? You draw that kind of those kinds of inspirations, and then you sort of like replug and say, okay, fine, let's get out there. Remember, there's a plan B. There's a plan C.
Plan CC, as you put it.
Exactly.
Okay. So how do you draw synergies between your previous work in travel and festivals? Are they similar? How do you compare?
They're pretty similar in the sense that obviously you do need high energy when you're in travel. The misconception about travel and tourism is that when you are a person sitting behind a desk selling travel and promoting travel and tourism, you're considered someone who travels a lot. It's far from the truth. So yes, we did travel a lot. We did. But at the same time, you're also very admin oriented. You're a salesperson. You're a salesperson first. So basically what would happen is like, sometimes you would sell so well, the client actually thinks that you've been to the destination, So I think my knack for sales has always been there, and that skill has helped me with, let's say, closing deals with sponsorship and partners for the festivals, which is very vital for its revenue flow.
Sales is a huge gap, especially for young people in Malawi trying to transition into corporate. They know nothing about sales. I think there's a space there actually to train. So in terms of the impact of the Lake of Stars on the arts industry of Malawi, can you speak to that? What has been the impact over the years?
Right, so I joined Lake of Stars to begin with 2009 and then 2013. When I was officially there to see what's actually happening and the like. And over the years, I learned it's actually not just a festival. It's not a big party on the beach. That's not all it is. It is, but it's not all. There are so many components in the social and economic growth and development of this particular country as a nation. I'll give you one example, and there's so many examples. You've got to just read the profile, the entire profile of what Lake of Stars has actually done for the past 20 years. Firstly, well, that's not the one example, but firstly, let me just mention that I am part of that growth and development. I'm a person who came in as a volunteer knowing nothing about festivals, and now I know pretty much a lot about festivals. You can definitely quiz me. There's a lot of room for improvement and learning and developing, but I definitely do know quite a bit. And that speaks in itself, doesn't it? It says that young people go into this industry, especially these kinds of festivals, and they're able to actually grow and develop personally through their career paths. So going back to that one example, Lake of Stars will go to a venue, not because it's pretty and nice and the like. Yes, there's the aspect of beautiful landscapes and it's by the beach and we're promoting tourism, aren't we? Because that's the byproduct of a festival.
Yes.
But the one thing I've seen this particular festival focuses a lot on is sustainability and also growth and development to local communities surrounding those venues. We have to also remember that, massive. We have to remember this is a business, right? It's a business for promoting businesses.
Yes.
Now, I don't mean it's not a profit-making business, by the way. This is a non-profit project.
Okay.
We fundraise and we utilize all those funds into executing the entire project itself. One of the examples I'm talking about is that we build our stages using recycled wood.
Okay.
And after the festival, if you'd like to partner with us, it would be great.
Yes.
We then turn those stages, repurpose them into desks that we then donate to
cool.
the schools around the communities. And that's only just one example.
That is really, really nice. That is amazing. Okay, so speaking of that, what are the strategies? You spoke of talent around, but also I want to know international attention. How do you draw that? Are there any intentional strategies in getting people, maybe artists, or also the audience around? Because I know I've traveled and people are constantly asking. Actually, we were in Maputo.
Yeah.
I was joined with a few players in the music industry at the Music in Africa conference, and they were asking, when is the next Lake of Stars? Like, they were that excited.
Wow.
Yeah, so how do you get their attention?
Okay, so we're quite lucky nowadays. We've got the power of social media, right? Social media is unlimited. That's one of it, right?
Yeah.
But Lake of Stars started a very long time ago. So 20 years ago, it was founded by Will Jamieson, who's a British young creative at the time, young. And he had this passion for Malawi. The initiative was drawn from a passion of what can I do or give back to Malawi? This place is so beautiful, but all I've heard about it is
poverty.
Poverty,
And
yeah,
that's
sadly. Yet there's so much to give, right?
Yeah.
So he decided that one of the main objectives would definitely be to create a positive narrative of Malawi by the media.
Yeah.
And I think it's the media that took it out into the global market.
Yes, and went with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course the artists.
The artists as well. Yeah, Lake of Stars. I like the name. I love the name. It's really, really beautiful.
And you have to remember something is that in terms of the artists, we don't just pick the most popular guy on the planet. Of course, he's got to be there. That's great.
Yeah,
but we're all about 80% of our artists are up and coming artists because we're about building those platforms for giving people an opportunity to shine. We'd like our Malawian artists to be known on the global market as well.
Of course.
We have value for global markets. We have value for global competition.
Yes.
So we need to also raise up. Yes, we do need the help. We need somebody to lift us up a bit. And that's when you get the major lasers coming up on stage, collaborate and network and bridge us from Malawi to the global market.
Okay. So you talked about being a behind the scenes person. I want to know, are you involved in the logistics aspect?
Well, so because that's my knack, isn't it?
So
I'm naturally drawn to organizing.
Yes.
I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Not that it's a negative thing. I think
it's a great thing. Of course, people speak of it as a negative thing,
right?
Yeah.
The only reason I believe it definitely is a bit of a downfall. It has its pros and cons, but its cons is that we spend too much time on detail. So
getting it right.
it just doesn't work for festivals. So that's why our beautiful team will always quality check for my work instead of me spending too much time on it. But in terms of logistics, that's just the knack. That's one of my skills.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to know, just in summary, maybe, what does that look like, managing the logistics of a festival as big as Lake of Stars?
Oh my goodness. Sometimes it does feel like you've been possessed by something that's taken over and ran with it. When you step out of it and you see the results at the end of the festival, you kind of go, whoa. Wait a minute, was I a part of that? Do you know what I mean? Like that realization. I kid you not, every single time something happens, I come out thinking, whoa, hold on a second. Was I part of that? You know?
Yeah.
Obviously recognizing that there's a bigger engine involved. There's more people. The team starts from 4 people in the beginning to as big as 500 to 600 people that weekend. Amazing. So it's about now having one brain and one synergy throughout 500, 600 people, understanding the goals and understanding the vision and driving towards it.
That.
Yeah.
And
so
you spoke of,
whoa, that's amazing. It's quite epic. Yeah.
So you speak of having a team that's, starts as small and it grows. How do you manage as the team grows? Do you establish hierarchies? I'm curious. How does that happen?
Yeah, but hierarchies are there only so that we can be held accountable for something, isn't it?
I mean, you can't manage 500 people at a go. It'd be crazy.
Not. And it's not that
less about power and more about management.
Exact, thank you. I'm not anybody's boss or whatever. I'm just there to be held accountable for a specific part and portion of the entire festival, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just a tiny piece of that puzzle, because that puzzle is massive, isn't it?
It's going every direction.
There's so many pieces, yeah.
Okay, so I know a lot of young people watching you right now are like, okay, I want to be like, as you've spoken, somebody already said that. What's your advice that you'd give to somebody that's in 2009 you? What do you wish you knew back then that you know now?
Well,
I know there's a lot. It could be a book.
2009, I think this is funny. I've been wanting to tell someone.
Okay.
2009, I came in as a punter. So I was, I had a couple of drinks. I was having fun. This was a festival. I was like, woohoo, party. And I partied. And I remember my cousins, by the way, I heard about the festival in South Africa, not even in Malawi.
Okay.
So that's how global it's always been. So I remember my cousins saying, oh no, we can't afford the ticket. Could you score us here? And I was like, sorry guys, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But one day, I promise you, I'll get you in for free. I'll probably be a part of the team. So I've always looked back on that day that you've got a dream.
Yeah.
If you want something bad enough, it'll definitely happen for you.
Yeah.
But you got to put yourself out there, and you've got to dream.
I love that. I love that. So many events over the years. Is there a particular favorite? Do you have like this year was the one for me?
Every year is very different. Every year is very different. Every year's got something amazing and special attached to it. But I can definitely take out one thing from every year is that when we're done on the Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yes.
Because we're done at around, let's say, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Monday morning, making sure that the logistics are all sorted, people are packing up, something you've been building for 2 months, then all of a sudden just breaks down in just a couple of hours on Monday morning. So that's the day that I'm given a break. And my team and I will sit on the beach and we'll watch the sunrise. That's the most... I look forward to that. I look forward to that, and I think that's one of my drives.
It's done. It's done. I love that. Okay. So in terms of trends in the music industry, I know working in the space you have to explore so much art. Are there any trends currently in Malawi, also beyond, that you're absolutely loving right now?
Oh my God. Music is such an amazing space to be original, isn't it?
Yes.
And there's a lot of culture exchange in music. I love music we can listen to. I'm not going to be able to give you artist names as yet because we haven't signed any contracts. But for the contracts we've signed, we've already started populating on social media at the moment. However, I really admire artists that are able to dig deep into the depths and history of their heritage.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
So this year at Lake of Stars, I can definitely share this with you. We are going to have a little bit different, something different. Our stages, we usually have like a stage over there, another stage over there, pop-up art over here, and so on and so forth. This time, we're definitely going to have our main stage.
Yes.
We're also going to have a separate dedicated stage for like the DJs and the funky, cool people, But we're also going to have that stage that I love the most, that I appreciate, where there's immersion and intensive one-on-ones of that kind of art. Okay. And this is more of a intimate space, which is going to be away from the party.
Yeah.
And giving people an opportunity to learn about music, to appreciate music, I mean, my colleague and I, we were listening to a couple of songs on YouTube, and we're like, this would be amazing for that space or anything. And the reason for that was because, like, I just got goosebumps listening to some of the songs that talk about our heritage as African people, where we're from, embracing homemade instruments. I mean, how cool is that stuff, eh? It's just, really it's the kind of things that I feel like a Malawi Arts Festival should be showcasing to the global market.
To the global market, absolutely.
So
I agree.
We're focusing and pushing hard on that one.
Okay, and you spoke about learning about music. I want to know, are there any resources and networks that you know that young upcoming artists can tap into?
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously, there's Music Crossroads is an amazing space. There's all these little spaces. Malawi, There's the Festival Institute, Tammy Mendera. There's Girl Powered with Kim of Diamonds.
Yes, I heard
there's all these, like, nice little components. There's also the Zomba City Festival, which has the Zomba Arts platform.
Really well. I love that,
all those, Tumani Festival is one of them as well. All these spaces the cool thing about the festival industry that many people don't know is that we are all united. We actually work together from Sandfest all the way to Tumaini at the refugee camp. We all work together behind the scenes. As much as people have their opinions about which festivals their favorite, cool, good for you. But we know for a fact that we are supporting a festival culture in Malawi. And those platforms are providing opportunities for young people, their jobs in events organizing, the artists, for platforms for artists and the like, So it's very important for us to support each other. It's very important to recognize all those platforms and be able to also refer some of our events team. And you'll find our events team, they've worked at Tumaini, they've worked at Zomba City Festival and so on,
And kind of how they can be sustainable as well. So when a festival is over, they're moving over.
Exactly, they're free to do that. And so the patrons should be free to do that as well. I'd love a day when all festivals actually come together and say, hey, why don't we have 2025 festival ticket that allows you access to this festival and that festival and that festival and that festival. How cool would that be?
I'd love to see that happen. Yeah, it's good to hear that you guys are working as a collaboration. That is really, really amazing. So in terms of financial viability, you talked about sealing deals with partners and sponsors. How do you make sure that the festival is sustainable? If it is at all, at this point you can speak freely. So how do you make sure that it's sustainable?
Well, there's various ways, right, in drawing onto revenue streams, but I'm not going to bore you with figures and the like. However, getting creative with your programs as well, being authentic and transparent with your programs. Say, for example, we were talking about the community development programs. There's a lot of development agencies in Malawi that are very interested to invest in the cultural sector, to invest in the arts or the creative sector rather. So we draw onto that kind of interest. And as long as it aligns with their principles, our principles align with their principles, you'll find that they will definitely support us and will come on board. Other than that, we've also got other institutions that actually fund artists from outside Malawi to bring them onto our stages so that there's collaboration and networking with Malawian artists as well. Our festival is so tiny. Most of our revenue...
for Malawi, it's one of the biggest.
Right. But most of our revenue streams that come from, let's say, our ticket sales come from the Malawian audience. And we try and make it as affordable as we possibly can. At the moment, we've got an early bird 3-day ticket for only 58,000 kwacha. And that opens you up to close to about 60 to 70 acts that entire weekend.
Less than $30, that's amazing.
Right? So for the Malawian audience, that's the little bit that we get, which is fine because then we feed it back into the Malawian artists. And that's how we pay our artists here at the festivals. So in terms of revenue streams, like I said before, we've got different components that fit into different parts of our programs at the festival that we run.
Awesome. Now, there are young people that want to start event planning. What are some of the skills you think they should master to become great event planners?
I think... Okay, well, I'm going to speak from my POV, isn't it? So I think the first thing is that you've got to be very well organized. Very well organized. Otherwise, you could lose yourself.
Coordination.
It's a huge sea of just huge waves, and you could lose yourself easily. But the other thing is that you just got to put yourself out there. You really have to be a go-getter. You've got to be the type of person who doesn't complain about working hours. I mean, we are running that festival, let's say it'll start on the Thursday. We're running way before that. But when it hits, when we land, we hit the ground running. It's sink or swim, You're thrown in the deep end. And if you're a person without resilience, you've got to build resilience. If you don't have that, you will suffer. And then I'd say to you that I don't think festivals are your thing.
I am curious. Do people have meltdowns while you're running? I can see that happening.
Oh my goodness. So the thing about festivals is that it stirs up emotions within you. There's happiness, there's excitement, and then there's sadness, there's huge emotions, and that's the magic about the creative sector, isn't it? And I feel like this is why the creative sector could be one of the globe's biggest diamonds if we just invest well in it, right? Because there's a lot of magic. We are human beings. We are beings of emotion and creatures of habit. And what happens with that is that if one person influences a gang, we're also gangers.
Yes.
One person influences, everybody goes in that direction. There's a lot of emotions going on from each and every individual with all the energies that's happening around you as well. So what usually happens is you'll find you're laughing and crying at the same time and screaming and doing all sorts of things, and then the key thing, yeah, that's it. The key thing, and you're shouting and snapping at each other and everything. But the key thing with our team, we always remind ourselves or remind each other that all we have is each other that weekend, and this whole thing will fall apart if just one person
falls out of line.
Yeah, exactly. One person decides they're going to quit that night or whatever. It really can take a toll on the entire vision and the entire results of the festival.
All right, I get that.
Yeah, so if you're a young person out there wanting to get into festivals, I just wanted to conclude this, that you've got to have resilience. Besides the skills of being well organized and so on, everybody's got their own little caliber of skills. That's cool, that's great. And also maybe that's your forte. If you're good with the stage management, that's your forte. If you're good with people, we find a department for you. If you're good with money, we find a department for you. If you're good with kids, we find a department for you. But you've got to be resilient, and you've got to be able to take it all the way. You've got to finish it. Run that race, even if it means. I remember one time I took a 30-kilometer marathon for health.
That's a long one.
I don't do it anymore. And I was walking and running and walking. It was a walk and run, so it's fine. Okay. And the van came around and be like, "Are you okay? Do you want to jump in? Because you look like you're gonna die, right?" And this is what 25 kilometers. I was like, I gotta see. I told myself 30 kilometers. I have an integrity to myself, and even if it means I lose a toenail, I am gonna take it to 30K, man. And I did it. And I lost 2 toenails, but it was okay. I know the biggest success for me was remaining integral to myself and developing resilience.
Yeah, seeing it through to the end. All right. I'm curious, are there any technologies that are coming up that you're utilizing in terms of festival management and planning?
Oh, yes. Huge, man. You have to also remember that music can only be projected, especially nowadays, through technology. And isn't it a beautiful world?
It's wonderful.
That we have? Obviously, it has its pros and cons, it has its challenges as well. However, we are now more of a smaller global village. We're more exposed to the global market through technology as well. Not just that, behind the scenes, the sound guys, back in the day, I was looking at some videos from 2008 Lake of Stars. We'd be happy to share with you guys as well. How the stage was set up and where the speaker was, and also how big the speaker looked. And there was what we call the front of house, where the sound engineer operates the speaker sound and the controls and the like. And I was just like, wow, nowadays the guy walks around with his iPad and he doesn't
and they're sorting everything out.
Exactly, you know what I mean? So technology is definitely definitely a plus for us. It's enhanced the festival in many
experience.
Ways. Exactly.
Okay.
It's very beautiful.
So the big one, for those who don't know yet, what's the venue for this year?
Well, so the venue for this year was announced in April of this year, and it's in Kota.
Yes.
Sunny Beach, Fish Eagle Bay Lodge.
Fish Eagle Bay, okay.
It's an eco-conscious little lodge with an amazing, beautiful setup of trees in the background and a huge untamed beach. It's just stunning there.
I love untamed beaches.
And the thing about Nkota, I don't know if you'd like me to delve into the inspiration.
I want to get into, because that was my next question. I'm like, why Nkota? I know that was buzzing on social media. People were like, why Nkota? I don't know from you.
There's a lot of criticism, wasn't there?
There's a lot of it,
so that's how you build, that's where resilience comes into play, isn't it? You've got to build resilience and remain on your vision, focused. So Nkota. When we were deciding a venue, the first thing we do is our main objectives. One of them is developing the local community at large.
Yes.
Because most of these venues are actually built in rural areas. And I'm not going to speak for that particular part of a business, but when we come in, we're very conscious of the fact that there is a huge community around there that will probably have their eyes on you, and the best you can do is develop some opportunity for them, So the first thing for us was that Nkota has this amazing heritage. There's huge history in Nkota about Malawi. I didn't know up until now that the slave trade was abolished in Nkota. It was the first free town in Malawi, which is very significant to our history, our culture, our heritage. also our identity.
Identity.
That's human rights right there. That's freedom, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's prosperity and progress. So Nkota, tick one for us on that one. The second thing was obviously going in line with leaving no one behind.
Of course, yes.
I asked a bunch of my friends and I said, let's go to Nkota this December for Christmas. They're like, excuse me?
I know.
Are you cooked in the head? What? The road is terrible.
Yes.
I believe the lake has crocodiles. And by the way, the whole lake has crocodiles.
Oh, it does. Oh, the entire lake, you mean? Yes.
The entire
okay. Yeah, of course.
From the Nile all the way down to the Zambezi. Come on, man. Anyway, so these are the kinds of comments you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going to stay?
Why?
What are we going to do there? That's terrible.
And that's a good place to start.
Right? And I was just like, whoa, that's a lot of criticism for Nkota.
Yeah.
But also on a personal note, my great-grandmother was actually one of the child refugees, these people that ran away from Tanzania. There was a civil war there and stuff, and they found themselves in Nkota. They stayed there, and her home was built around Sunny Beach, where Fish Eagle Bay Lodge is. And I only found this out much later, after my family caught wind of where the festival was.
And they were like, oh, it's close to home.
Yeah, that's actually your great-grandmother's home. That's where she grew up, and they said. I was like, whoa, okay. Well, now I'm actually personally involved.
Yes, now I'm going to make
stakes. Exactly. I'm definitely going to go the extra mile to make this work, right? But here's the thing. When we take something like Lake of Stars, that everybody's always talking about, not just in Malawi, but everywhere, and we bring it to a place that people criticize and don't like, but has huge potential to add value to the tourism sector, to the economy of this country, then we want to be the first to do that. And we want to be the first to bring a crowd there and say, see, I told you. Look how amazing
Look how beautiful it is. Amazing.
And we're happy to do that. We're going to, there's going to be adversities, there's going to be challenges. The road is terrible. I was there 2 weeks ago. The car broke down on us 5 times. We left at 11 a.m. We only arrived home at 2 a.m.
Ooh, that's a long one. Okay.
It was a huge challenge for us. And we're like, yes, people are definitely going to suffer. So what are we going to do? We're going to implement logistical plans.
Yes.
Why don't we do group shuttles?
Yes. Okay, group shuttles are a great idea.
Remember, solution focused. Why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? And make sure that people actually get to where we want them to go to. And so that we can also get people to see this vision that we see brightly.
See there.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And we hope to go back to Nkota, you know, we really do, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done there.
Yeah,
a lot of work. It has huge potential. It could be the next hub. It could be the next big thing in the southern region of Malawi.
It could. Yeah, it could. Now, maybe final words. What are some of the ways in which you want the public to support Lake of Stars? It can be the government or individuals, creatives, anybody.
Yeah.
Wow. How can we support you? I know there's many ways.
I have a whole Bible on that. My word, I have a whole book on it, excuse me. So it would be great to, firstly, all we need is the moral support at the moment. I understand people are going to be critical about certain situations and stuff, and everybody has an opinion. There's freedom of speech, of course, that can be. But if we could just give it some time and read around the vision of Lake of Stars, and if it aligns with your principles, give us that moral support. That's one. The second thing is that appealing to the private sector, you know, there's a lot of growth and development in Nkota, and I do believe that if you partner with a brand that's actually being the first to challenge this, you know, to challenge this movement that's about to take place in Nkota, you will definitely win. There's definitely going to be an amazing positive result for you as a corporate organization, aligning with a brand like ours. And there's huge growth and development in the business sector, especially for the tourism and hospitality industry. The other thing is that this appeals to the Nkota community. If anybody in Nkota is actually watching this and they have a business, a hospitality area, or you know, whether it's a lodge or a little bar in the corner, or a shop, a fashion shop, or you name it. Be kind to your customers that we're bringing to you. Like, there is no need for you to
hostility and all.
Welcome them, because that is a market that's going to want to keep coming back.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? If you treat them well the first time. So there's that, and then there's price gouging. You know, there's this whole thing about just because there's a huge demand, then all of a sudden my prices go from here to here. It's let's be mindful and treat each other fairly in business and trade. And because you want those people to come back. You want to build a long-term business relationship with the market.
Oneself.
Exactly. And then let us do our job in promoting and bringing that market to your location. Exactly. And then with the development sector, like I said before, we are obviously involved in so many different development programs during the festival, before the festival, after the festival.
Yeah.
And your support is required in that. And if any of that aligns with your principles, join us in this quest to raise up
Kota. There was one that's missing, the government.
The government. The government has always given us moral support. That is a given. But one thing that we would also call upon is definitely to hold hands, because we look at them as our leaders. You know, we look at them as our mama bird. We can't do this without anybody. And especially with the government, is that we do believe that if they were to lead in this moral support, you know, when they do, and they do in most years, when they do lead in this moral support, what usually happens is people follow
that.
You know, it's a stamp of approval.
Yes.
That's it. It's a stamp of approval. So we are in great terms with obviously our ministries, the Ministry of Local Government and Unity. It's all about that.
Yeah.
It's all about local governance and unity, right? And arts and culture is our department. And they're by our side.
Yeah.
They're constantly pushing us forward. I have to say that in terms of our moral support and the like. But then we've also got supporting ministries. There's the Ministry of Information, Digitalization. There's the Ministry of Tourism
right there.
and then there's also the Ministry of Trade.
Yes.
So all of them together wouldn't that be an amazing world?
I know.
You know,
come to
wouldn't
the
that
table.
be?
They're all with you. I love that.
It would be powerful.
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
All right.
Indeed.
What a beautiful chat about festivals, the art sector, music. I think it quite glues together what we're discussing here, the creative industry in Malawi. That was Sharmila from Lake of Stars, and you were with me, Nthanda Manduwi.